Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at the Swapper. This is a 2013 game that I was confused by, certainly when I played another game called The Fall, and I thought I was playing the Swapper for the first hour or two. And yeah, I found The Fall very disappointing because it just ends on a cliffhanger and wasn't much of a game in the first place. I'm hoping for a lot more with the Swapper. It gets even more confusing because there's a game called The Descendant that looks like it's The Descent. So Swapper, Descent, Fall, all one word, not very descriptive titles with V in front of them. I hope this has controller support, but we shall see. It wants me to type in my name first. Alright, and then we're gonna set up everything after that. My mouse is all messed up, though. As far as my mouse does not want to do anything other than to snap, and I wonder if this is just a multi a multimedia or multi-monitor issue. Alright, the controller is working, so we can stop using the mouse. Good, because my mouse is jumping all over the place. It's like I go in any direction and it just wants to snap back. Alright, let's turn on subtitles. Gamepad sensitivity is hard to test as far as going up and down with the right stick or left stick. We'll have to figure that out. Nowadays, I just leave VSync on whatever it is on. Let's get that resolution up higher. There. And interesting. If it wants the refresh rate, it's saying 30 hertz. But if I go down one lower, it could do 60 hertz. Where is it getting this information from? This really isn't that intensive a game to have this as an issue. 30 hertz, 59 hertz, 60 hertz, 23 hertz, 24 hertz, 29 hertz. So there is a 60 hertz, but it's in the middle there. And then frame cap, we don't want that on. This is a lot of stuff to have at the beginning of your game. Game will now attempt to change the screen resolution. If things go wrong, it will be restored after 20 seconds. Let's see how OBS decides to handle that. Seems like that was perfectly fine. And then select gamepad type. I have an Xbox One core controller, so that would be Xbox 360 layout, I guess. Being a 2013 game, but yeah, that is quite the setup. And it is weird to have a mouse cursor when you're playing with a controller. This is just that same options. Yep. Arguably, I think games have gotten it right better to not pop up options at the very beginning. Even if you've got like a PC port of a game and you have a separate app that launches or a configurator option when you launch from Steam, I think that's probably better than having your main experience have you type in a name for seemingly no reason and like adjust all the video settings. Most games by default in modern times, and I guess 2013 is not so modern, would detect the correct settings anyways. And so it really just would come down to, hey, do you want subtitles on? And arguably subtitles should just be on, with an option maybe at the beginning to turn subtitles off. Let's begin the actual game though. It sucks certainly to start playing a game and be 4 minutes, 5 minutes into the setup before you even get to the intro video. Now, the similarities between the beginning of The Fall and this game may be fairly similar. Each of those games, The Descendant, The Fall, and The Swapper, was in kind of a, looks like they're in a sci-fi world and you're playing as a character in a spacesuit. Which, that's not that different. In The Fall, you see a spacesuit falling from the sky. In Swapper, it seems like you're seeing an escape pod falling from the sky with a spacesuit in it. And honestly, I won't make a bunch of comparisons to The Fall because it's not a very good game, but in my opinion. But yeah, I think the Swapper does it probably better in the gameplay mechanic concept, as it is more of a puzzle-based platforming Metroidvania game. Right. The thing I don't like is that you have this like dot. And I think the tutorial there was saying left, left. So move left stick, move left stick this way. And the right stick is a reticle. Let's see, we can jump. We can seemingly not target anything or shoot anything. So it's just a head control and that. It looks to me like there's some kind of alien escape pod here. Press A or up to jump. Interesting. Hold A to jump higher. Little jump, big jump. Little jump, big jump. Seems like that at this resolution, zoomed out might be a problem. And I might want to lower this down to like a 780p resolution just to get the camera to zoom in more. I question whether we'll be dealing with something that's far across the screen like that. So, standard tutorial game design, there was a cliff here, you could not get any further unless you jump. So you've proven to the game that you can jump, and you've proven in that case that you can jump higher and hold. I don't know if this is supposed to be the orbiting space station. Very dark. Move right stick to move around, so I assume we're intentionally doing that. Making it dark in here. I'm hoping the game kind of zooms in and that it becomes a little bit brighter. So, okay. Now we're seeing people. Now we're seeing it zoom in. I assume these are people. Maybe these are actually control panels. So we're standing in the light. We can call the lift with the X button. So this is just like technology. Then we can press X to activate it. And let's see. If we did that, we can do that. It feels very calcified, at the least, as far as this technology. Bone-like. Site 24 looks to be written in English. And in we go.
Now entering Theseus Excavation Site 24 on planet Cori 5. All off-world transport via home teleport at base of installation. All finds property of the Sisyphus project.
So, press B to display a map. And we can see we've got a Metroidvania type map, or Metroid type map. We can also see in the top left we have orbs that we're going to be collecting. I imagine we're not just coming to do an average day's work in this facility, and that we are going to eventually find something else out. We've jumped down, and at our current ability to jump, so we cannot jump back. So stores and teleport, maybe this way, and a wall this way, so we would come back later. And that might have been a weight platform that would open this wall, so we only have one choice. They said to teleport to the home office, so I assume that's what we're supposed to do. There was kind of a glowing effect when we stepped in the light the first time. And we got some kind of object here. Let's see. Try and hold and releasing left bump to open space. In an open space. Okay. So I'll point it kind of here. Left. Release. And so now, with the power of this gun, I've seemingly made a clone of myself. That once I touched it, returned to my body. And the clone seems to do the same thing as what I do. Which tells me, yes, we want to put him there, and then he'll walk against the wall and we'll go this way. But seemingly that did not get us to the... Let's see, let's put that guy there. And then let's see if we can find the place he'll spawn. You get this nice silhouette. I assume you just leave the room and it resets the bodies count. And so we can see puzzling here. Okay. So walking through this glowing light reset everything and destroyed the swapping, the copies. Press X to interact with the memory terminal. So this is our logbooks. Log 01 security memo from Core i5 excavation site 24 to thesis xenotechnology research. Listen, we're grateful, but to be frank, half of my team refused to be in the same room as one of those swapper devices. I hardly envision their use becoming widespread enough to justify the security precautions you've just installed down here. Let's see. What is Y to toggle on and off, or B to hide? Seems like it's unnecessary to have two buttons.
Radio uplink available. Broadcast location, Mine Science Laboratory, Space Station Theseus.
What you're telling me isn't possible. Tell me who I just ejected into space.
So somebody just ejected somebody into space. Now, interesting, when you compare a game like this to Metroid, and you can see there's already voice acting and a real narrative happening, that's something that really didn't exist much in Metroid 1, Super Metroid, the first couple of Metroid games. You maybe got a little bit of story when you're talking Metroid Prime 3 or some of the very late Metroid games, but these types of games have been very light on the story. Even the Castlevania series, not really going for deep canon narrative that much compared to how much platforming and fighting you do. So there is a real opportunity here to have a narrative integrate with an established gameplay mechanic like Metroidvanias and create something better. Okay, so I am here. This is the map we've been in. There's an unexplored hatch, unexplored hatches, and I guess that's all you can really do. But can't I bring up the map at any point with just the back button? Yes. So seems kind of unnecessary. So if I was to, say, do this, walk forward and press the X button, it doesn't seem like you can do anything particularly interesting with that. I guess the teleport is that way. Meanwhile, we are here. While I could move the teleporting person over here, they don't open doors, and they don't scream in pain when they die. So doesn't seem like there's really a floor down there. I don't know if there's a way to cancel this. I guess you could hit B and go back to the menu. So your first thought, definitely with the idea of the swapper, is that as soon as you have a technology where you could potentially easily make a clone as the exact same appearance and age as you are, then how in the world do you know if you're the original? We saw the beginning of the game of somebody escaping in an escape pod, yes. But does that mean that's the original person on that space station? Or was there just a swapper on the space station, swapper clone? There might be more advancements in this technology, and this might be the lowest level of the swapper technology, in which the characters don't act or interact on their own at all. And there might be an advanced version where you don't even know that you're a clone. Create a clone, swap to it using the right bump. So now we do have the swapping aspect of a swapper. See, that was kind of a great example there where I accidentally just pushed a little high on the controller and it jumped up. So yeah, so much for your original body. You're stuck down there. You're stuck forever. If you could transfer consciousness with 100% certainty, then maybe it doesn't matter what your original body is. And in all fairness, if you could have a new version of your body with less disease and scars and wear and tear in general on it, you might take that. But that's twice now we've swapped bodies. And clearly throughout this entire game, that's what we're going to do. Clones can't be created inside blue light. Interesting. So we've got to get one there so we can do that. To do that, and very quickly you're going to run into options in which you could swap more often to get through a room a little bit quicker. I don't know if it's necessary. All of this equipment, with the exception of the swapper technology, seems a little bizarre and seems to not feel real. It's surreal, I guess. So I guess in the case of this, we're doing that. So then I can work my way back and swap into this. And here we have another log. Now this game may not be as long as you might want compared to like a Metroidvania game. If we look at the number of logs and it's scrolling down, that seems to me like you could probably have about 50 before you start really scrolling down. So, and since it does have a scroll, I'd assume there's a little bit more than 50, but probably not by that much. We're getting them fairly quickly at the beginning here. It would be nice if everything was voiced, but yeah, that's going to blow the budget of most indie games, and I'd put this much more in an indie game category. Sam says I need a security orb. I have been planet-side for weeks. I can't get clearance back to Thesis. Help me out. Cam, I can't. I want to see my husband as much as you do yours. So Sam has a husband? Is that what we're taking from that? So there seems to be some conflict and some just established lighting gimmicks in the mechanic, although not a real explanation where some of this lighting is coming from. It's kind of weird to interact with the console and do something different, because the two previous times we've done that, we've only just gotten logs. So if you were training the player that you would always only get logs from the consoles, you're now breaking them of that training.
Came here in is fried. I have a rescue team on the way. They'll be here in a day's time. Why not? There must be something we can...
There's a real question about how many people are in this facility. Seems like there might be very few, but there might be a lot more than you think. Immediately I could see these elevators being a problem. Maybe they're there to hide loading. Dig site B seems to be blocked by a plant, very Metroid-like. We're just working our way towards the teleporter. Interesting. It seems like we may need one more encryption orb is required to access the teleportation activation console. So this whole area may very well just be a tutorial area that we don't get back to until very late in the game. And we are going to potentially be able to teleport from one area to another area. So I suspect what will happen is, I guess you do get a little bit more information here. Purple being encryption orbs, blue being teleportation points, green being locked doors, or doors you should explore. Unlocked doors, I guess, not locked doors. I can see there being a kind of boss fight or just first puzzle here. Although we don't really have a weapon, so I don't know how you would do a boss fight per se. It would pretty much have to be a puzzle. Let's see. Body, we need a faster turnaround down here. The last shift was supposed to go home 6 hours ago. Instead, we've got them shipping back more rock samples. They're tired. Please advise. I guess that's Bodhi, not Body.
You can't make me do that. I won't do it.
Immediately, what I'm assuming is happening here is that people have clones, multiple versions of themselves, and they're saying, no, we won't allow you to have 2 copies of yourself leave the planet. You have to kill one of them. Or they have clones of friends or family, and they say you have to kill that one because the original one is somewhere else, like the husband's. Okay. can make one here. I can make one here. There we go. But he won't pick it up. I see. So. That does that. Which means we need to do that and then swap into that body. And then that. And swap into that body. Mangon orb acquired. And we're hearing gibberish and it says swap. Of course, part of the problem here, if you have teleportation technology, you've already crossed the line of potentially creating an exact copy of somebody somewhere else and destroying the original. So, much like Star Trek The Next Generation, any hesitance around using a transporter in Star Trek would eventually just be given up on for the convenience of using a transporter. Kind of a slow process here to activate your teleporter. The visual themes of all of this is creepy but not too creepy. Oop, now the teleporter is offline. It feels dark and spooky, but we've yet to see just like an absolute monster or any spooky anything. You have kind of large amounts of arrivals and departures, and I guess since all of them are blank, that does say there isn't likely to be too much of that going on. Seems like a weird gas. I guess I would also imply that there aren't that many people around. We are now in a completely different area, and we don't really have a zoom in, zoom out ability. There is something nice to the idea of entire maps being connected, but it is definitely easier for game developers to separate sections out. Welcome to Space Station Theseus. So are we no longer on that planet? Seems like we aren't. We've got spacesuits, and we've got a big rock. Hello, question mark? Well, none of my buttons do anything here. What can we do? So there's something in that rock, but it seems like we can't interact with it. Unless B interacts with it. Nothing's happening on the D-pad. Nothing happens when we click. Right bump, left bump has already been established. Right trigger, left trigger is just duplicates of right bump and left bump. So, unless there was... You can have 4 people on the screen at the same time. So we'll have to investigate that later. Seems like there's some bizarre alien things floating around. Maybe that's just space debris. A lot of lights. A lot zoomed out now. Sector 1 public. Let's go ahead and call the elevator. Doesn't look like there's anything else we can do. It'd be interesting to find out if there's fall damage in this game. Can't jump very high, so it would make sense. The limits of language are the limits of knowledge. Our name was not their knowledge. They thought of us as watchers. So these rocks are just straight up talking to you. And taking over the whole screen to do it. Grab objects by facing them and pressing X. Well. Let's go back and see if we can do that. Doesn't seem like it. Seems to me like only specific things can be grabbed. It is fairly genius to have a game where you have a character that can only jump a little bit. That plays well.
Quarantine procedures engaged.
Well, their quarantine procedures seem to be fine. They don't seem to be hurting me in any way. Encryption orb needed to get past that point. We could get up there. Let's just go this way. So, seems to me like it's going to be a kind of surreal loneliness that you're going to have to deal with. Very possibly the effects here are not quite what you would want when you hit a fizzled out light. And if you touch another one, they merge together, so that's the person you're controlling. Bodhi says the chief of quarantine understands the pressure this puts you under, but stresses that the rock samples are of unparalleled scientific interest. As such, we must request you continue to prioritize sample teleport over personnel. Right. Monogon orb collected. Can't read. So before we do anything else, let's see, we have 2 sites being marked here. Yeah, and it seems like the only thing you can really do is just hope that some of these rooms don't lead to much of anything. The world is the limit of thought. The limit of thought is the chain of hearers like me and cannot speak if they cannot listen. What is where? How is where? Does where tick? We know only of the minds in our chain. You chose your chain in a dimension we do not know. Okay. So it doesn't seem like there was much in that room.
Quarantine disengaged.
Alright, so there goes the quarantine being turned off. Let's see. We push it that way. That's probably the... Well, you know what? That probably is the right move to start. Okay. Walk this way. Okay. Now we push this way. Which is that going to work? Push it that way. Okay. Then drop that guy. And swap this guy. Another orb acquired. And I guess the natural desire would be to see if you could actually jump out of this, but nope, you don't really have any abilities to pull yourself up. So very quickly you're going to lose count of how many times you've swapped bodies. And it's probably not going to matter. I wouldn't be surprised if the game gives you a running total at the end of the game.
Attention. Hull breach in Sector 1. Emergency personnel to waste management.
Okay. Interesting. So there's a object of interaction down below of interest. And then there looks to be a teleporter or some device that requires 6 orbs, which probably means we're going to have to run around the whole place. We can see some edges here that really imply that this is a fairly large space station cargo bay area. And seems like there might be another space station part that's come apart and disconnected. And then there are just empty spots, which I assume means there's nothing there, but maybe there's some secrets there. And those might be secret rooms. So we don't have the power to just grab that box and move it. So there are obvious limits. One thing I'm also noticing, however, is that there's a... You're having to teleport yourself down to get to where you want to go. Because there is fall damage. Good to know. And it leaves the body when you fall damage. So downward is to the gardens. Yeah. This game doesn't automatically turn you when you're facing one direction. So if I start, you can just like walk backwards. I'm not sure this game benefits from that. Most games don't. Probably would be better that if you start to walk this way, you would just automatically turn and look that way. Unless there was some input coming in on the right stick. Because if I wanted to walk backwards and look, I would just press on the right stick and aim that way. It doesn't inherently. Seems like there's a body floating around there. Let's see. Essential supplies: 4 tons of food, 197 days at a full crew complement, water 3,000 liters, emergency fluids 7,000 liters in recirculation. I don't know if that's that much as far as water is concerned. 201 items registered as miscellaneous research equipment, 5,967 items registered as spare parts, xeno samples and finds 432 items registered. Now, with the exception of food and water, I wouldn't be surprised if those last 3 things are collectibles throughout the game. But nearly 6,000 spare parts sounds like a lot. 3 more encryption orbs required to access this console, and that is going to let you go in that direction. And so we have a greenhouse going this way and a garden going this way. We saw a body floating by, which means something, I'm sure. And then down here we have a garden. Okay, well, at about 40 minutes, I don't know where the checkpoints are being made, but I think this is a good point to end this episode. There's no telling how long this game is. I suspect probably not that long, just on the basis of the puzzles. Unlike Metroid, I'm not expecting to see anywhere as many like varied enemies in the Metroid series, or really that much shooting in the first place, in which you would shoot and kill other enemies. So the ideas of getting like a wave beam or a fire beam or a plasma beam or any of those different kinds of shooters you would have in a Metroid game, different kinds of weapons, are probably out. And then I would heavily suspect, because of the art style, that there aren't going to be too many environmental changes. So like needing a lava suit to reduce damage, or like a dark suit, a light suit, things that you would have seen in the Metroid Prime series, or just the Metroid series in general, the Vera suit. That would make less sense too. I don't know if we're going to get a super fast run like in Metroid, or turning into a ball, or bombs, or super bombs, or missiles, or super missiles. So a lot of things probably aren't one-to-one equivalencies there. It would be kind of nice if you saw some more parallels, but since this game is called The Swapper, I suspect we are going to just be shown a collection of puzzles around swapping, and mostly only swapping. And that could get boring if the game goes too long. Alright, well, that is going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. There's also a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist if you want to support me further. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.